Hey guys, welcome to Dude Ranch DIY. My name is Jake. In today's video, we are going to be talking about this here lawn robot. Now, if you're new to the channel, you're probably either considering, researching, or have already bought some sort of autonomous lawn mowing robot. But let me tell you, this thing right here is called the YARBO, and it does a lot more than just mow the lawn. As you can see behind me, I've been using this thing for the past 2 months or so, and this video is gonna kind of take you back to the very beginning and figuring out how to use it best for my property. I'm not gonna go into all the little nitty-gritty details about how to actually physically set this thing up and get it to work in your house. What I am going to talk about is what it took for me to get it to the point that I am now at 2 months later, where I am fully satisfied with the way that it has been working and what it's taken me to get to the point where I no longer have to mow my lawn. And I feel very confident in saying that. So stick with us and you'll see what this thing is all about, what it's capable of, and if a YARBO lawn robot is right for you. All right, guys, so here is everything that came with this YARBO. We have the blower attachment. We have the core, which is the actual like tracked unit itself. We have the mower. We have, I believe that's the charging pad, that tall skinny thing. I think those are the batteries. I'm not sure what this little box is. And this box is what they call the Smart Assist module. And this is the first one I'm opening here. And I just gotta say, I mean, like the packaging, like look at this. It looks really nice, you know, like fitted foam, like for all the pieces and everything, very high quality. So if this first box is any indication of how the rest of it's packaged, I would imagine it's packaged really well. But you know what? I'm not gonna bore you with all this stuff. We're just gonna get right into it. All right, just got the core, as they call it, out. This is the main unit. I got my buddy here, Hayes, helping me out. This thing was packaged just as well as the Smart Assist module. So as we get this out here, you can start to see this thing is pretty serious. I mean, like here's my hand compared to it. It's decent size. I'm excited to get into this. Right, buddy? Are we excited? Sure are. All right, guys. First time using the YARBO. We got it set up. As you can see, it is on this front little area by the house here, which is pretty steep. And I mapped out these two like kidney bean shapes on either side of our front stairs, and its docking pad is up there. So it is starting its first mow. We mapped the entire perimeter. Obviously, I left out all the boring setup stuff because there's a million videos on YouTube and on the YARBO website if you want to see somebody setting it up. But that is not what this video is about. This video is about my experience setting it up and my experience using it for the first time and my initial impressions. Now, I mean, I also have a leaf blower for this thing. We're gonna be using it all summer long to mow, and I'm hoping that I will have to do very little mowing with the walk behind Skag as a result of this thing. And I'm hoping that I can kind of tweak it and modify it so that I can minimize the amount of weed whacking that I have to do. Because right now, it takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on lawn length, to actually mow the lawn. We have about 36,000 square feet of grass. This whole front area is about 18,000 square foot and change. And then the back is essentially like the same thing. The cutting height is set to 3 inches, which you can see just by way of where it just went. The grass is lower on the left side of the screen there compared to the right. I have it set up to run in parallel lines, doing 3 perimeter laps first. So right now it's working its way around the perimeter, and I believe it's gonna start coming up into this little kidney bean shape, which was the goal. and then it'll head back down, and if I had to imagine, it'll keep going down the hill. But let's just see what it does. You know, I was just saying to my buddy Jake here, you guys might remember him. He's famous for wearing flip-flops while operating heavy equipment. But, you know, the whole point of this thing is to not have to be out there physically mowing the lawn. But from all of the forums and videos and stuff that I've watched, it seems like everybody that has one of these things isn't physically out there mowing their lawn. They're watching this thing mow their lawn. Oh, hold on. Hold on. It looks like we're stuck there. Oh, no, it got traction. Okay, it was stuck for a second. It was spinning the tracks. Now, this is a pretty steep, you know, incline right there. Try and get you some perspective on that, but I mean, it just crawled right up it. It's currently going over an old stump, and I'll show you that once it fully goes over it, but it had no problem. You can see that old stump there, and now it's going up around the azalea, getting nice and close to it. I tried to keep all my perimeters really close to where I actually wanted it to mow, because again, I want to do as little string trimming as possible. I mean, sure enough, that's mowed grass. But it is following, I'm pretty impressed. It's following that perimeter line that I drew to a T. Like, I even remember I drove the left track up over that little rock. All right, guys, so this is what I was curious to see. This is obviously a pretty busy main road, and I purposely had like the edge of the YARBO right up against the curb. Now, I'm fine with having to weed whack that little strip that it might miss, but if it can get right up along the curb, that's pretty good in my book. I think any error or deviation off from the curb is error on my part with like my shaky thumb, as opposed to this thing deviating off of its path. Now, it'll do this again 3 times because I set it to do 3 perimeter loops. So that way, when it actually has to turn to do its parallel lines, it has plenty of room to turn around and it's not like swinging out into the road. I'd rather it be parallel to the road rather than, you know, trying to make a zero turn at the very edge. And I gotta say, just using it this little bit, the reactions of some drivers driving by and landscapers driving by has been pretty entertaining.
Dicker Jibs! They took our job! Yeah!
All right, so I'm interested to see what it does here, because that rock is the very width of the... Oh, it drove right by it. That is pretty cool. All right, so here's a corner. It's gonna go up this hill. And from what I've read, that yellow light flashing on the top is indicating that it's in autonomous, you know, mode. If I was operating it with the remote, that would not be flashing. All right, so now we're going on our second perimeter lap, and I have it set to 4 inches of overlap, and you can see it is basically following its last, you know, outer track to a T. And it is certainly overlapping, and it doesn't really appear to be missing much material, which is awesome. Okay, so the YARBO just went up on the rock. It like drove itself up on there. So it did not detect it as an obstacle. It just backed up. So now I'm curious to see what it does. Oh man. Wow. It just went up and over it. All right, that's not, that is not what I was expecting it to do, but I guess we'll take that. Cars are slowing down to look at this thing. All right, well, I gotta go in and make dinner, but that is the beauty of having one of these things. It will be mowing the lawn, hopefully, all the while me and my buddy and wife and son are inside enjoying a nice home-cooked meal. We'll check back in on YARBO in a little bit. Okay, so we just had another slight issue. I looked down from the house and it was stuck up on this rock, as you can see, and it was spinning the tracks. The mower deck was up on top of this rock. I had to physically come down and pick it up off because I don't think it had enough traction to get itself off was the issue. But now you can see it's back. So I might have to adjust some of the sensitivity settings for obstacles. Right now, I have it set where it will gently pull up to something and hit it and then back up, and it's supposed to go around it. But I think the issue here, it looks like the YARBO is coming, and since this rock is kind of angled, it was like a ramp, and it probably went up and over it and then got caught and tried spinning itself off and left those marks right there. So, I mean, those are pretty significant marks. I mean, the grass, you know, it's not terrible. But one of the big things that I was curious about with this thing is how it would handle all of these rocks that I have scattered, you know, throughout my lawn. So I guess that'll be a learning thing. And here it is, stuck again on this same rock that it was already on, and it's definitely wailing on the blades, smoking the blades right there, absolutely smoking again. So yeah, that is not ideal. All right, and we're off again, but again, I think like a rock like this, where it's flat on the low side and high on the other side, is gonna be an issue for it because, you know, and again, with that rock there, it might come down and then the mower deck might get caught on that high side of the rock. Now, it did indicate this and the rock it got stuck on over there as a red zone, which I believe is like a no-go zone. So I think it is learning these obstacles, and I might be sacrificing these initial blades to allow it to sorry, everybody's kind of interested in this thing. I might be sacrificing these initial blades to allow it to identify all of these obstacles, but I think that's kind of the learning curve of this thing, both for me as a, you know, an owner operator of it, and for it learning the property. So, you know, take that for what it is. They're just, all right, guys, YARBO's mowing and I'm eating dinner, but this thing it is kind of hard to just avoid watching it. Now, what I am noticing is that when I set up this work plan, as they call it, I didn't realize that the lines, I selected parallel, but I didn't realize the orientation of said parallel lines would be perpendicular, let's say, to this big hill that's in our front lawn here. And as you can see, once it gets to the hill, I think the weight of the machine is trying to naturally pull it down the hill. So it seems as if it has missed, I don't know if you could tell, but this strip of grass that's maybe like 8 inches wide in between its most recent pass and the pass before that. This area right here where it's about to encounter is one of the steeper parts if not the steepest part of the lawn. And you can see it basically going completely over where it just did. And I don't know if it's doing that out of trying to compensate because it's learning or what. But I mean, I'm okay if it mows the same thing twice, but I would rather not have a bunch of strips that are unmowed. I mean, I guess I can, worst comes to worst, you always send it out a second time, but. Okay, so I just canceled that mow because of this issue with it leaving these strips of grass, and I just rotated the whole map by 90 degrees. So now the YARBO should be going up and down the hill as opposed to across it, which should, I think, help. I mean, you can see this thing stripes pretty good too. The grass is just a little damp. It was drizzling before, but I'm curious to see what it does now. Again, big learning experience for this thing. All right, guys, so we're checking in on this thing about 20 minutes after I changed the whole path of direction of it. And as you can see, it has been putting down lines over here. We got a little bit of stripage, and it has figured its way around both the tree and the telephone pole over there. I did change the obstacle avoidance sensitivity from slowly approaching obstacles and running into them to avoiding them completely, in hopes that that would help the rock situation and the blades. But I mean, it's starting to get dark here, so I wanted to get one last little update. But I mean, it's definitely cutting, and although it's not on the steep part of the hill yet, it seems to be not really missing much. All right, so it did just like jam up, and as you can see here, one of the blades got caught on this blade guard, and it kind of gave me an error message. So I need to try to manually, I guess, fix this. I'm not sure if this wheel is broken or what, so I'm gonna try and take a closer look. That didn't take but a couple minutes to fix with a simple 2.5 Allen key there. I took this whole circle, plate off, those 4 little bolts, and now we are back in action. All right, so since it's dark and it was getting to a portion of the lawn that has quite a few very low-lying rocks and another tree and one of my flower beds, I decided I'm just gonna send it back to the charging station to recharge, and we can try this again either tomorrow or just another time when I have some time.
Ready to charge.
All right, ready to charge. Is it going to shut off its lights and stuff? Oh yeah, there you go.
Charging.
And it's charging. All right, flashing green light, I guess, means that it is charging. And we will revisit this tomorrow. All right, so my initial impressions of this YARBO lawnmower, it's pretty cool. And I think it is capable of doing what they say it's capable of doing. I think it's going to take some legwork on, the new owner's part, i.e. myself. I think instead of just letting it go and mapping just the perimeter, I had seen some people, a considerable amount of people actually on the forums and stuff, say that that's the best way to do it, is to let it determine what is an obstacle. But now seeing how it handles rocks and stuff like that aren't necessarily sticking up straight out of the ground, but maybe the mower is able to go over it, but then it'll get high centered or stuck on it. I think now I kind of know what it might get stuck on and what it might not. And for the sake of time, battery life, and overall wear and tear on the machine, I think it would be worth my time to go around and map or exclude those obstacles in my yard to, you know, just eliminate them so that it will just simply drive around them as opposed to trying to let it identify them on its own. All right, we were back out the next morning and I just got done mapping all of the major rocks, trees, beds, anything that could potentially act as a, you know, obstruction for this YARBO. I just went ahead and drew it on the map and drove the thing around all of the obstacles. So now my map looks much different, as you can see here. And we are going to see how this YARBO does navigating around said obstacles, or no-go zones, as the YARBO app likes to call it. So right now, this Japanese maple tree behind it is marked as a no-go zone, and it does appear to be adhering to that parameter and staying away from it. Whereas before, it was driving all through in there and it was getting caught on that rock that's right there, which is low enough for it to not be able to detect, but high enough on the back side for it to get caught and hung up several times, as you can see right there. So now let's see what this thing does with some more stringent, you know, parameters. Hopefully it'll work a little bit better. Playing with the YARBO? Oh yeah. All right, so you can see in this little rocky outcrop here, I actually set each and every one of these rocks as its own obstacle. So this whole area here with the trees and the telephone pole and the rocks is probably going to be my most complicated area. So I'm real curious to see what the YARBO does, but so far it is sticking to the plan and staying away from the rocks, whereas before it was just trying to run over them and wasn't really detecting them. Now if we walk over here to the section it's already done, you can see it leaves nice straight lines, and this was before I put in all the obstacle detection stuff. So I'm thinking this will work pretty well. It does seem to make quite a few turns, especially because I have it on the smart turn, which is basically like a 3-point K turn. But so far so good. I am pleased with the way that the obstacle detection is working and marking those no-go zones. So let's watch it go up here and tackle another one of these rocky areas. This is an area I typically would avoid with even my, you know, walk behind skag mower, and I would just weed whack this whole like oval shaped area. And then of course, you know, around the trees and the bushes over there. All right, guys, we are back about a half an hour later and YARBO has been doing its thing. Look at these lines that it's laying down. They're not, you know, perfect. This is, like I said before, a very technical area, but since setting the no-go zone parameters, it completely avoided, you know, all these rocks. It made it around this bush and tree on its own. It's now approaching this spruce and hydrangea tree, and it appears to be, you know, avoiding it. Let's see what it does as it comes up this way. It looks like it's just gonna stop and then turn around. The grass is kind of long. I'm thinking that now that I have this set up, I'll probably be running it like twice a week, if not more. We've been having a lot of rain lately. So it's definitely leaving, you know, some high spots. I don't know if you could tell, you know, there's some strips in between that it looks like maybe the hill kind of came into effect here and was pushing it to the side one way or the other. But, you know, I think if I run it twice a week, it'll be a lot less noticeable because the grass will be, you know, more in check and not quite as high. All right, guys, I just got home from work. YARBO was busy this morning mowing the lawn, as you saw earlier. It is now back at its docking station, and I want to show you what the lawn looks like, and I guess we'll talk about it a little bit. So the lawn is definitely cut. However, as you can see, I mean, it was striping pretty good over there. Over here, I have a lot of rocks and stuff. Over here, I have nice grass, but it left an awful lot of high strips of grass. Now, I don't know if you could tell, but like in between each pass, it's almost like it missed the grass, and it's tough to see from afar, but like, you know, it mowed really good in here, it missed there, and it missed there, and then it missed there, and then it missed there. You know, basically it was missing big long strips of grass everywhere between each pass. So, you know, and I had it going up and down the hill, so you can see it pretty well here. You know, there are, where it was cutting, it did a great job, and the quality of the cut is pretty good, but it's just missing these strips, so I'm not really sure how to address that. Okay, guys, third day of working with the YARBO. We sent it out yesterday to mow the lawn, the front lawn here, a second time with an 8-inch overlap in an attempt to eliminate a lot of the strips of tall grass that were basically everywhere, all over the lawn. And I gotta say, it did help quite a bit. There are definitely still some strips. I don't know if you can tell, but like right out there, there is a strip of tall grass. There's some, you know, over here, over there, you know, little ones here and there, but it got, I would say, about 95% of them with that 8-inch overlap, and it did it all while I was at work. Today, just for kind of a experiment, I'm sending it out and I'm changing up the mowing pattern. I've now changed it to, I believe, a checkerboard pattern. So my theory here is that it has gotten the lawn down the majority of the way at the 3-inch cutting mark. So it's done, you know, all of the hard work. Now I'm kind of sending it out to see if this checkerboard pattern will kind of fine-tune everything and hopefully pick up on these last little areas that are still tall. And it could potentially leave me with a cool, you know, pattern on the front lawn. So pretty happy with the overall result. I mean, granted, this has taken about 3 days to get to this point, but I think I've said it in the past already, but I think the YARBO would really shine, you know, using it several times a week and not just once a week. It's not a commercial, you know, grade lawnmower that can cut 4 inches of grass at a time. It is a robot lawnmower that, you know, is designed to help make your life easier by sending it out whenever you want. So that's what we're doing. You know, no harm in sending it out a third day in a row to achieve the goal. You know, as long as I don't physically have to be out there, I'll send it out every day if necessary. All right, this afternoon, I mapped the entire backyard. Hey, Lou, what's up, buddy? How you doing, big guy? What do you think of the YARBO? Apparently not much. So yeah, mapped the whole backyard this afternoon, as well as all of the obstacles and stuff like that. YARBO has been at work. The backyard has a lot. This area is pretty good. I mean, you can see we have nice grass here, but up in the back and on the other side of the house, not so much. I don't really pay too much attention to that. I kind of focus on the stuff that people can see when they walk up and from the road. You know, the backyard will be a focus at some point, but I got about 32,000 square foot of grass, so baby steps. But the YARBO seems to be doing okay. The grass was pretty long. It's definitely leaving tall strips again, but it definitely has dull blades. I didn't want to flip the blades to the fresh side yet. because I knew it would probably run into some obstacles doing, this area for the first time. So that's fine. We'll just send it out again tomorrow, and if need be, the next day, until it's all uniform, kind of the same way the front was. All right, just woke the YARBO up. Monday morning, we made it through the weekend. It has been working on the backyard. I mapped the backyard Saturday and got it cut once, and now it's going back and doing its second cut. Once it's done with the back today, I'll probably send it back out to do the front once it's charged up, because it's been about 3 days since it's done the front, and I'm really curious to see how it does with, cutting shorter lengths of grass. I don't know if that's a moth or a butterfly or what, but well, it's good to see the dogs don't really care about YARBO anymore. Just scared Gus. All right, it seems to be doing a pretty good job here on the front. It, slows down when it gets close to these rocks and stuff. But you can see right here a good comparison of it had gone, straight out up into the fence the first time it cut, and now it has changed the angle by a couple degrees, to go more diagonally. And I mean, it seems to be doing a pretty decent job. All right, so while I was out at work, I had the YARBO working on the front lawn, and then I got an error message saying that the right blade was clogged or jammed, and sure enough, the plastic disc broke. The blade was caught up on this blade guard thing, and it snapped it just because it was like bending up. I see a lot of people take these blade guards off, and they have pretty good success with it, so I'm thinking about maybe taking the blade guards off. I'm not sure if that would void any warranties or anything. I already have a support ticket in with YARBO to have them send me new discs. But honestly, I feel like these discs should be made out of metal or something. Like plastic, this is kind of like a joke, especially for a machine as expensive as this is. I think these plastic discs are kind of dinky. So I'm taking it off completely, and I'm actually going to swap them. This one to this side, this one to this side. That way the fresh edge of these blades will, be cutting. As you can see, the side I've been using is pretty chewed up compared to the other side. So that's an easy way to just flip them. You just flip the discs. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, initial observations is it is much louder with a broken disc. So that's not great. However, it did just leave a really nice cut there. So I don't know, I guess we'll see. Hopefully YARBO support can send me out some new discs. I really think it would be worth it for them to upgrade to a lightweight titanium or, some sort of lightweight yet strong metal disc, because that plastic is a joke. Well, all right, it's been quite some time since I've used the YARBO, and that's because the last time I used it, we broke one of the cutting discs, which I'll show you in a second when I remove the mower attachment. We have since gotten new replacement parts, albeit it took about 3 weeks to get them, between all the back and forth with YARBO, verifying that I was eligible, I guess, or, qualified to get replacement parts. After all, I don't know why I wouldn't qualify for them. They're the ones that wanted to send me the unit. So I kind of thought that was ridiculous. That took about a week for them to escalate the, warranty claim or whatever, service ticket to the appropriate department to then approve sending out replacement discs. However, I will say the good thing that came out of this is that I asked them to send multiple replacement discs, not just one, not just two. They sent 4. 2 whole new sets. That way, if this does happen again in the future, I'm not stuck here for days on end, or weeks on end in this case, in the peak of mowing season without the machine. So with that being said, I have the parts in that box. We're gonna pop this mower module off and get it fixed and back out to work. Now it's pretty easy to take this thing off. Just kind of lift it up and, well, say that now. Yeah, lift it up, take those, pull that off, and then twist this plug. And it really is pretty easy. Now, here is the mowing deck. And you will notice that we are missing a big chunk of plastic here and an entire mowing blade here. So we're gonna fix these up, get these replaced, and hopefully back out working. All right, so we got the new cutting disc on here. As you can see, I also put a new blade on, or actually 2 new blades. This one was missing one, and this was the chipped off part over on that one. So 2 new blades, scraped up the big clumps of grass on the deck, so tightened everything up. Now we're gonna put the mower back onto the core and send it out, see how it does. I also took off the mower blade guard things because I read on some of the forums that it cuts much better and in straighter lines in taller grass without those things. So I'm not telling you to do that, but it's probably not recommended, but I went ahead and did it, and I've heard that people had good results. So now it's navigating around our well cap that I have marked as an obstacle along with some of these rocks here. Right, did a pretty good job with that. So I think now it's done doing all the obstacles and it's going to start doing the actual main area of the lawn. I don't know if you can see here, but like it kind of creates these pathways. You'll see it cut here to kind of hightail it across the lawn, go do all the obstacles over there, and then it'll come back, do any obstacles over here, and now I'm pretty sure it's going to start its full, you know, mow of the main area of the lawn. All right, it is the next morning, and I'm coming out to check on YARBO's status, and we got an issue. YARBO was running last night when I went to bed, and it looks like it got the majority of the lawn mowed. However, it's stuck. What it's stuck on, I'm not entirely sure, but it's stuck. Put my coffee down here. I think it's high centered. Yeah, you can see it's been digging its track in. Like I said, this thing's pretty heavy. Let's see if it'll go now. I gotta get out of the camera. See, it was high centered on that one rock right there. Now, I guess that's kind of my fault because this bed is a no-go zone and this tree is a no-go zone, which means that it has this small area theoretically to go through. But it still got stuck, so I'll have to mark the boundary of this no-go zone, you know, where these hydrangeas are, a little bit wider. Now, I do gotta say, the cut quality is way, way better now without those guards, and now that I slowed the travel, you know, cutting speed down to slow, it seemed to have handled this hill considerably better. I really don't see any really
any real like tall strips of grass that it was leaving in between passes, which it was doing left and right before I slowed down the travel speed and removed those blade guards. You can also see here, this is kind of where it stopped. It still has this area off to the right to continue mowing, but everything off to the left has been mowed, and it honestly looks great. There's even stripes on the lawn. It still seems to have some trouble over there in that area, so we're gonna have to, like I said, edit that zone. But it appears to be doing really well, and it looks like it's just picked right back up where it left off with its cutting plan. So I am very pleased. This has been a major improvement, and they haven't even come out with the new software update yet. Let's hope that it continues to perform this way. But I think adjusting that travel speed down to slow was the ticket. It looks really good. All right, we are back the next day. I just got home from work, taking the little man for his 5-month pediatrician checkup. But the YARBO I sent it out this morning to do the whole back. It's still currently up there, if you can see, along the fence line, and did a pretty good job in the front here. It went perpendicular to the hill, or parallel, I guess you'd say, with the hill, and it all looks pretty good. The whole front lawn looks really good. Sarah, what do you think about the work the YARBO's been doing?
I'm pretty impressed. At first I was skeptical, but pulling in the driveway this morning, I was like, ooh, there's lines.
Yeah, it actually looks pretty good. It took a while to kind of figure it all out, but I think removing those hand guards on the blades was the biggest improvement, because the whole front lawn looks really, really good, as you guys saw this morning. So, I am happy with that. All right, guys, we're here 2 days later. YARBO finished mowing the back of the property yesterday. Sent it out again this afternoon, and look at these lines. It is doing a pretty good job. The lawn just, it was a little tall, but I figure sending it out more often than not is probably a lot easier on those mower motors and everything, and it just keeps the lawn manicured and looking good. So I got to get off my butt and do some weed whacking around here, but it seems to be pretty dialed in. I changed the overlap from 8 to 4 inches, so it makes the stripes a little wider, which is nice. And so far, so good. All right, I changed the YARBO to cut at 3.5 here in the back, because we're getting hot weather. It was about 90 degrees today. But I would say that it is pretty dialed in as far as its lines and where it's going. It's a nice, pretty even cut for the most part. It was getting a little tall back here, so I do see a couple spots that it missed that are a little high. But for the most part, really good. It did the back too, but there's no real good grass back there. It's a lot of crabgrass mixed in. We get a lot of shade with these trees, but YARBO has the important area that counts looking really good. All right, guys, it is about 6:30, and I am out here. I have been running the YARBO pretty much most of the afternoon. It's been doing the front lawn here today. As you can see, the lawn looks great. I'm actually out here to weed whack for the first time in probably about 2 weeks, because I just keep sending YARBO out to mow, and the weeds and stuff, the edges grow slower. So it's finally getting tall enough where I can't really stand to look at it anymore. So we're gonna go around and do some weed whacking here. But I gotta say that this YARBO, I've been using it now for about 2 months. And this YARBO has been great. It's definitely been a learning curve, but as you can see, the lawn looks pretty good there behind me with nice stripes. And I gotta say, slowing this thing down to the slow work setting was the best thing that I ever did, because no longer does it bounce up and down,
the hill or down the hill as gravity pulls it. It just chugs along nice and slow. It doesn't have the speed to bounce around on an uneven lawn. So if you have like a more natural lawn like I do with a lot of obstacles and it's not like perfect and flat, then you might want to consider doing that. But in the meantime, I'm going to fire up the weed whacker, get to work. Well, all right, guys, just got done weed whacking, went inside, poured myself a cold beer down in the basement. It was a hot one today. It was like 87 degrees today, like the first really hot day. Tomorrow's supposed to be really hot too. And you know what? I got to say, I am thankful to have the YARBO because all I had to do was weed whack. And I weed whacked for the first time in like 2 to 3 weeks. I've only weed whacked one other time since starting to use YARBO. And that's really not too bad. That goes to show, and we've been having a ton of rain. I've mowed the lawn a ton of times, as you've seen in this here video. But that's just a testament to how close YARBO gets to its no-go zones and boundaries and stuff like that. Really minimizes for an autonomous robot mower. I really got to hand it to it, that it really follows the boundaries and everything that you set, the parameters in your maps and zones to a T. Now, that is the experience that I have found. The lawn looks really good. We're even starting to get some of that cross-hatching effect, like the diamond pattern. If you look at it, over here, you can see lines going up and down towards the road and then across the hill as well. So I gotta say, all of the issues that I really was having with this thing in the beginning, I think mostly were in part to user error. And after figuring out, how to use this machine for my specific property, I feel that I am very content with the quality of the cut at this point. And I'd imagine that with future updates and stuff, it's only going to get better. So the YARBO is finishing up. It looks like it might actually even be getting ready to park itself on the charging pad. So overall, I think I would recommend the YARBO to most people. If you have a sizable lawn or even a small lawn, just don't feel like doing it. The YARBO is a great alternative because not only can you, use it to mow your lawn, you can use it to snow blow your driveway, blow your leaves. Those are other modules that obviously we can't be using right now in the middle of the summer, but as the fall and winter approaches, we will definitely be doing more videos with the YARBO, testing out those other modules and any others, hopefully, that they come out with in the near future. But as a final, wrap up, kind of like end to the video, I think this would be my advice if you're looking to, considering purchase one of these things. Do you have the patience and the know-how? And it's not hard, but you just have to know how to use an iPhone and manipulate, an app and stuff like that. Do you have the patience to go around and set this thing up to work properly on your property? Or are you the type of person that just wants to take it out of the box and go and use it? Because if you're the type of person that just expects to take it out of the box and go and use this thing and have it work perfectly, it's not going to work. As you can see, it just went back onto its charging station, so it is done for the day. But back to what I was saying, if you're not willing to put in the effort to get this thing to the point that I have gotten it, or that you're satisfied with, I wouldn't recommend spending the money. If you have some time on your hands and you're willing to put in the legwork up front, I think it can be a great piece of equipment and a tool to have around the house. All right, guys, so we started the video in this spot and we're ending the video in this spot, mostly because I just filmed the first part to the video a couple seconds ago. But here we are now 2 months after having started using this YARBO thing, and I gotta say, in the beginning, I was skeptical. Things didn't go quite the way I thought they were gonna go. This took a lot more legwork up front, getting it set up, figuring out the property, figuring out the speed, figuring out the no-go zones, the obstacles, the boundaries, the overlap, the angle of the mowing, the height of the mowing, the obstacle avoidance. This thing is so jam-packed with features, which is a good thing, but it's because of all those features that it's just not one size fits all. Obviously, everybody's lawn is different. Even if you're in an HOA and they're all cookie cutter lawns, you're going to have variations in your topography, in your landscape, in your obstacles, whatever have you, your layout of your driveway and stuff. So everybody's a little bit different. So this video was meant to just show you what I went through in getting this thing to work on my property to the point where I'm happy. And 2 months after, initially using it, I gotta say, this thing has been doing a great job. I really like the fact that I can wake up in the morning, open up the YARBO app on my phone, push a button, and Yasmin, as we have dubbed her here at the property, goes out and she just starts working. I can check in on her throughout the day. I can see that she's going back to charge herself up. If she's going into the backyard, I can have my wife, Sarah, go open the gate, let her into the backyard, let her back out to get to the charging pad. But again, those are all little, things that make each property specific to the way that you have to set one of these things up. So again, if you're willing to put in the legwork initially, and it's not a lot, it's not hard, it's not like you're out there physically pushing a lawnmower, you're just tapping some buttons and watching, observing, making changes as needed on your phone. I think this YARBO has a lot of potential, and I'm really excited to see where it goes in the future, because this, started out as one of those Kickstarter campaigns a couple years ago. Here we are, I think 2 or 3 years after their initial Kickstarter, and this thing is like working and people love it. If you go online and look at the reviews, there's a lot of mixed reviews, but I really do think after reading through a lot of those mixed reviews, it is setup and user/operator error with people that just aren't taking the time to really understand what all of the features are that this thing offers and how to use them to cater it to your specific property. So with that, I will put all the information for this thing down in the description below. Feel free to reach out in the comment section if you have any questions. But if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, consider clicking that subscribe button down below. I'd really appreciate it. But for now, I'm Jake. This is Dude Ranch DIY. Big thanks to YARBO for setting this thing out. We'll see you here next time.